Let's keep our questions coming in and we can have them during our discussion. And now we'll be moving to our next speaker. And our next speaker is someone I've been waiting to hear from, Councillor Yemi Adenuga, the Never Met County Government of Ireland. Wow, she's going to be talking about my story, my song, the beauty of African dream. Wow, let's have you on board, ma'am. The councillor is herself, Yemi Adenuga. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're at, whatever the time frame is. I'm going to be a little bold. I'm going to be a bit bold. Can I ask everybody, please, wherever you're at, if it's convenient for you, please switch on your camera. Please.
Okay.
Please. I'm going to say please, pretty please, with ice cream and sugar on it. There we are. Isn't that looking just amazing? Fantastic. I'm waiting for 3 more people. Let's see now to switch the cameras on. If they can, if they don't mind, if it's convenient for them. Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you all so much. And I'll tell you why. Do you know what? We've listened to our initial amazing speakers. I mean, I was just blown by Joan sharing her story there. Joanne, I think you're an incredible woman. I think your success in education. I think Africa really needs to wake up and begin to look at ways of, for want of another phrase, importing her people back to help rebuild. Because think about it. When you hear of all these incredible Africans out there, African Americans, African British, African Irish, you know, we are now redefining what it means or building what it means to be African Irish. And we're showing the Irish people what Black Irishness looks like. So it's a button space that we're creating ourselves. And you have all these amazing Black people doing incredible things all across Africa, all across the world. And yet Africa struggles. And I always wonder, who caused us? What's our problem? Why are we the way we are? And yet we go out there and we slay and we take over and we do incredible things. I mean, just listening to you there, Joan, I just think that we need to clone you and bring you to every single country across the globe to hear what you've done. And then I listened to Karima. Oh my goodness. Your wealth of yes, you're not African, but today we're actually giving you an African crown. Because obviously you've got Africa at heart. Samira, you've got Africa at heart. You know, it was incredible to hear you share your passion, share that vision. And I will be delighted to stand side by side with you any day and say this is an African sister. Africa, I'll have you know, it's not just about the color of the skin. We've gotten to a state today in the globe where a number of people will be delighted to say, I am African, without them even being Black. So you're having to rethink about how do you define Africanness. And then I listened to my amazing sister, Bridget Aleshi. Oh, Christ is Lord. And you just reminded us of the role of men in our society, the role of men in our community. And I know that the people who are on this platform directly on Zoom are gurus in the various rights. So the people we're actually speaking to, a number of them are those who are listening on the live stream. So I'm not here to preach to the converted. I'm here to speak to those who perhaps are wondering, what role can I play in building an Africa of the future? And we're talking about the African dream. I will proudly and gladly and humbly say, I am the African dream. I, Yemi Adenuga, I am the African dream. And look no further. Every single person sitting here today is a part of that African dream. Because we have that passion, we are a part of that African dream. And so we don't need anybody trying to paint a picture for us. We all have a vision of what the African dream should be. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. When I was growing up, I was told I was going to be nobody. And I grew up in Africa. So I come originally from Nigeria. Yes, and I'm an African Irish woman now, But I come originally from Nigeria. And I was told as a young girl of 13 that I was going to be nobody. So I came from a large family. My father had 7 wives and 27 children. So tell me, how easy will it be for a girl who came from a family who could literally make up 2 football teams? How easy will it be for her to actually be anything? And I was number 6. I'm still number 16 in that household. And my mother was the last wife. And I love sharing my story because then it paints the picture of possibilities if we allow ourselves to make things possible. And my mother was the last wife. She has 6 biological daughters of her own. And the wife before my mother, when she left my father, she left behind 4 girls. And my mother ended up raising 10 girls. So those of us who perhaps come from polygamous home will understand what I'm talking about. So I came from a really large family. And my father, being the head of the clan at the time, would have been the one to host the family meetings. So on one of those occasions, my uncle came upstairs to my mother, who had just hosted them and fed them well. I mean, there's no meeting in Africa without food and drink. And he told my mother, said, you're not planning to have a boy for my brother, are you? Because you just keep popping out all of these girls. Well, you see these girls of yours who you think they're beautiful and pretty, they're all going to end up on the streets of Lagos as prostitutes. An uncle said that to my mother about his nieces. A family member said that to my mother. And I was only 13. So I heard him say it when I was in the room and I could hear him. And an auntie came upstairs. Now, I would have expected that because my aunt, being a woman, coming there would support my mother. But no, she added petrol to the fire. And she added saying, well, don't mind her. She thinks all these girls are pretty. Well, they're going to have to stand on the streets and ask men, come and pay for me. I am good looking. Now, hearing that at 13 could have done one of 2 things to me, either inspired me or damaged me. Because then I could have made a decision, well, after all, they've said I'm going to be a prostitute, I would end up on the streets. But I chose not to be damaged. And I made a decision, that very reason for which those people, and my uncle especially, that very reason for which they thought I was going to be damaged is the reason I am going to become. And that has become my motivation in everything I've done in my life. I made my mother a promise that night. 3 a.m. She was still crying. And I told her, stop crying, Mom. I promise you that myself and my 9 other sisters will work so hard and make you so proud that these uncles will wish their boys were girls. We're going to make you so proud that those boys are going to wish they were your daughters. And today, the rest is history. Today, I can put hand on heart and say, I am the African dream. Why am I saying this? Fast forward to years later. Now, like everyone else, my life's journey was a struggle. I didn't know what I was going to become, but I knew what I was not going to be. I knew what I was not going to be. And a few years down the line, as I grew, as I learned, some of the things that enabled me was learning to take opportunities. I say 3 things about opportunity. When I was growing up, we were told that opportunity comes but once. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Opportunity is there every day, staring us in the face. I'm sitting here is an opportunity. Listening to these incredible women speak is an opportunity. And I'm still looking forward to listening to Mr. Sabanda. That's an opportunity. And so every single day I learned to see 3 things. First, see opportunity because it's there every day. Second thing, take opportunity because it's not enough to see it. We have to be able to boldly take it. And third thing, use opportunity well. If we take it and misuse it, we put a barrier in the way for the next person who is coming, who might want to take opportunity. And so I learned to do those 3 things. I was blessed with people who were in my pathway, helping me to become. Fast forward, I moved to the Republic of Ireland. So my background is in broadcasting. I worked in Nigeria as a broadcaster, worked in radio and television. I was the first voice on to speak on the first private radio station in Nigeria when broadcasting was deregulated and broadcasting became private. So for those in Nigeria, you would know Ray Power 100 FM. I was the very first female voice on Ray Power 100 FM in Nigeria when it went on air. And when broadcasting was deregulated, when private television kicked off in 1996, I was the first person to produce the first program that was aired on the first private television station in Nigeria. And so I started on a path building history without realizing it. I didn't plan to, but it just started to happen. And then I relocated to Ireland in 2000. And in the year 2019, I was approached by the ruling party of the country at the time, called Fine Gael, to run in the local elections. And I was blessed to win a seat to become the first Black female to be a public representative, an elected public representative in the country, and the first Black councillor, the first migrant councillor in Meath County Council, making history for the Republic of Ireland. Now, why am I sharing this story? In Africa, when I lived in Africa, Africa felt like there was a choke waiting. And this is what is happening to us without us realizing it. It feels that there's a choke there waiting to just put us all in a choke hold. And yet we struggle so hard to break out of it. What I would love for us, a number of us are in diaspora, for us to start to do is to begin to share what we have gained from learning out there with Africa, bringing it back to Africa and helping Africa awake to the reality that we are our own solution. We are the solution to our own problems. Can I just share, anyone who's listening outside of the platform on the Zoom, anyone who's listening on the Facebook live stream, there is no rescue anywhere out there. We are our own rescue. We have the solution. We must begin to fix it. And so we need to begin to take these things. And I have awoken to that reality a couple of years ago. And one of the things I started to do was to bring back to Africa. As I share with my new home here in Ireland, I also bring back to Africa. And so how have I started to do this? So I'm not preaching, I'm sharing what is a reality which is working. I started a social enterprise called Shiro's Global a couple of years ago in 2012 in Ireland. And the idea of it at the time was to help empower, inspire, and impact women and young people to become. And when we've heard this before, it sounds like a cliche, but it is a reality. When you educate a girl child, you educate a nation. When you empower a woman, you empower an entire community. And that's what we're doing. And with Shiro's Global, we have several projects, one of which is exploring options. We go into secondary schools, we begin to talk to young people about thinking. We're not saying you know what you want to do, but just think about the possibilities that are bound for you. When I think back to my story, I didn't know what I was going to become. If any prophet had told me I was going to be a politician in the Republic, in a foreign land, in the Republic of Ireland, I'll tell them they are fake prophet. But today, the story is different. Today, it's history. And so there's so many young people like myself way back then who have incredible potentials, and yet we let those things get buried. We must go in there and uproot and begin to empower these young people to bring about a change. Enough of all the talking, the actions is what we want to begin to see. So with the Exploring Options project, then we go into schools. From year one, we ask the young people, what are you good at now? Start practicing it. I'll share a very quick story with you. We went into one of the schools. We were speaking to 750 young people in, I think it was JSS 1, 2, and 3. And when we spoke to them, we had a workshop and we're asking them, what would you like to become? And a number of them were, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be an engineer, I want to be an accountant. Those 4 professions they've told us years ago that if you're none of those, you're nobody. That's a lie. And this young chap got up and said, I want to be a doctor, this young girl. And we asked her, why do you want to be a doctor? She said, I like the stethoscope. I almost fainted. Like, what? She's like, I just like the uniform and I like the stethoscope. I said, okay, I'm going to buy you a stethoscope and the doctor's uniform right away. And then you tell me then if you still want to be a doctor. And then we asked the question, what are you good at? She said, before she could answer, the entire school roared. She's great at plaiting hair. She weaves hair, she makes hair. And in that town, the king of the town has 3 wives. She's the only one allowed to enter the king's palace to make the wife's hair, the hair of the wives of the king. And I thought, if you're so good, why do you think being a doctor is the only thing? Well, you can aspire to be a doctor. I'm not saying you shouldn't be a doctor, but let's start working on what you're good at now. And so what we did then, we took this young lady, we registered her into a training for hair making and for manicure and pedicure, the works that salon had. And can I tell you something for nothing? This young girl, by the time she was leaving secondary school, had 3 salons and she'd employed 7 people, a girl in secondary school. So what are we talking about? And I asked her then, do you still want to be a doctor? She was like, I'm going to make hair for the doctors, auntie. And this is what we're talking about. The Africa of our dreams, where our people can begin to earn even before they reach that height of their biggest aspiration. And there's nothing stopping that girl still from becoming a doctor, but she already is an earner from secondary school. Those are the possibilities that abound. And that's what we're doing in Africa. We have the Shiro's Girls Club, where we're building the confidence of our girls within that club and telling the girls that they are enough. They don't need makeup to feel special. They don't need a boy's validation to tell them they're beautiful. Beauty is in here, and you can feel confident enough to go anywhere without anybody telling you whether you're beautiful or not. And that's what we do with our young girls. And we're building incredible young ladies who are becoming global leaders. We have the Shiro's Women's Network, where we're helping the women learn how to become investors, investing in property, owning property in their name, and building businesses. That's why I was so drawn to you, Joan, when you were talking about entrepreneurship. It's got a big hole, a big space in my heart. And I'm empowering women in Nigeria, especially, helping them become entrepreneurs. Think about the skills that they already have. Shiro's Global has grown so big beyond my wildest dreams. We're not just in Ireland now, we're in 6 countries in different parts. We're in Ireland, we're in Nigeria, we're in Ghana, we're in Sierra Leone, we're in South Africa, and we're in Malawi. Replicating the same model in all of these different countries. And the flagship project, which is close and dear to my heart, is our Shiro's Boys to Men project. We talk about domestic violence and how our girls, our young girls, when they grow, they become victims of domestic violence. And the question I've started asking in recent times is, who raised those boys? We did. We are totally responsible for what is happening. So what did we do wrong? There are many organizations out there who are trying to help the women and support the women who are victims. So I don't want to do just replicate what people have been doing. The idea of the Shiro's Boys to Men project then is to begin to deal with the problem from the grassroots, from the very root of it. So we're working with men in communities. The way we run this project is we go into communities and we ask the men to stand up and take responsibility and become mentors for the boys in their communities. In Ireland alone, there are over 250 boys, 50,000 boys who live without the presence of a father in their homes. Almost 300,000 boys live without a father at all. And statistics show that about 76% of these boys are likely to end up taking drugs and alcohol. And about 77% of them will end up on the streets. in gangs and using guns. Now, if we don't fix this from the root, then we're creating a future, even for Africa, that will be problematic. So what we do then is we ask men, take responsibility. You don't need to be the father. And that's why I loved what Bridget said. You don't need to be the father. You need to be the role model, because there are many fathers, supposed fathers, who are just sperm donors. They're not responsible fathers. And I say this with all respect, all due respect to all the amazing fathers in the network today and those who are listening. So in essence, we're building the next generation of good men. We build the boys first to be good boys. A good boy will grow up to be a good man. A good man will be a good father. Even if he's not married to the mother of the child, he will play his role as a father. And that's what we need. Men who will be proud enough to say, I am a role model for my own son, and not be an excuse. And that's what we're doing with the Shiro's Boys to Men project. We run a 12-week rigorous training program. It's a double-edged sword. We start with first training all the men who come on board as mentors, because we remember that the men themselves have been raised a certain way, so they have a background which could have been faulty. So we first give a reorientation for the men who are becoming mentors. And once they are reorientated and they become better husbands, better brothers, better uncles, better whatever it is they are to their communities, we unleash them then to go mentor the boys in their community. Hopefully, one of those boys who eventually marry one of our girls will be a good husband for our girls. And that's the idea. Mentorship. I so believe in mentorship. And one of the things I always talk about in my life is I want to go to my grave empty. I want to be able to pour of everything I've been blessed with into other people, especially young people, help them become better than me. They have to be better than me. The reason is they come with something already. And when they add what I am able to offer them, then they've got to be super better. And everybody who connects with us as well has to be better than us. I remember Mrs. Agbaje was talking there about helping our young people to be greater, to be bigger, to be better, and not to compete. It's the only way we can compete. When we cannot compete, rather, when we desire to give of what we have and ensuring that it makes the other person better. So we run a mentorship program. It's called the Yemi Adenuga Mentorship and Leadership Program. And we have 3 divisions within that program. The first is the lifelong learning mentorship, where we help people become better human beings. And the second part, which I've only just started in the Republic of Ireland since becoming a politician, is the global leadership, political leadership mentorship. And how I run that is I ask my colleagues in politics. It's a program we've rolled out in Ireland, and I'm hoping to bring it to Africa in the next maybe next year. I ask my colleagues in politics, step up and become mentors. Each of them is challenged with finding at least one girl or woman in her community. This is how we hand it down to women in politics. One girl to come into the mentorship program and be empowered to get interested in politics and look at the possibility of taking a decision-making position within her community. Become change agents. No talk, plenty of action. And then we're going to see in by the end of this year, when the training program ends for our first cohort, we're hoping to just graduate 50 solid women who are ready to go out there and bring about a change in their community and replicate the model. So the talk about empowering women, we're not talking, we're doing it. And I'm delighted that there are people on this platform who are doing it already. That's why I'm delighted to be. And I'm going to finish off on this one. For anyone who's listening on the live stream out there, if you're empowered by everybody you've listened to today, first thing you need to do is find your why you want to do what you want to do. That keeps you grounded and keeps you going all the time, because there will be challenges. I am very sure of my why. My why, it goes back to my background when I was told I was going to be a nobody. And every time I remember, I tell myself, I will not just be a somebody, I will make sure that I also grow 1 million somebodies along the journey, and tell those people that nobody has the power to tell anybody they cannot be somebody. And today, I'm sure you know already, the story is such that when those uncles see me, they proudly say, oh, do you know Yemi Adenuga? Councillor Yemi Adenuga in the Republic of Ireland. Oh, yeah, she's my niece. Now that's the story. I'm no longer just a girl who will be useless. And that's what we must do for Africa. What I'm selling to you today is an idea for you to begin to look at empowering girls. I'm not saying the boys ain't great. I'm saying we need to reorientate our boys and we need to empower our girls to begin to do different things differently. I'm not one of those who get into that conversation of, oh yeah, but what are girls going to do? What are women in politics going to do differently? Listen, we've had men in power for donkey years and it's all been mediocre. So all due respect. So let's see women do it their own way and then let's see what the story will be. So I just want to thank everyone for listening today. Use your resources that you have. It's not always about money. That is one challenge I have about Nigeria. I don't know about African countries, other African countries, but the minute you talk about doing something, even from the diaspora, you want to bring it to Nigeria, they're asking you, how much is the funding involved? Excuse me? The things you get from people sometimes are beyond money, beyond what you could ever pay for. I never looked at people for money. I looked at people for the resources, the human development, the human capacity in them that has enabled me be who I am today. So let's stop thinking about the money. And that's why the world got us. We were always thinking about the money. That's why we became the victims of our own challenges. We were thinking about the money. So I'm imploring us all to, for a second, not think about the money. Let's look at the things, the resources we have within us already that we can tap into and that we can bring and that we can share. And let's always celebrate our victories. So I'm going to ask everyone who is here today, you are all incredible people in different parts. Please indulge me. Can I ask you to raise your right hand? This is something we don't do often enough. We don't do it often enough, especially as Africans. You know, we need to start doing it more, especially when we do great things. So raise your right hand. You're not swearing a sorority, I promise you. And put it on your left shoulder and call your name and say, well done. Well done, Joanne. Well done, Raquel. Well done, Karima. Well done. Say your name. Well done. Can you unmute yourselves, please? And say your name and give yourself a pat on the back. Well done, McLean. Well done, Raquel. Well done, David. Well done, Joanne.
Well done, Sophie.
Well done, Yemi.
Yes.
And we need to do, thank you all so much, incredible people. We need to do this more.
Thank you.
We need to show our young people that when you succeed, you must celebrate every stage of your success. You tie a knot and then you move on to the next. Thank you all so much for listening. And I look forward to perhaps possibilities of working together at some stage. Well done, Tayo. Incredibly proud of you and your team. And congratulations, Mrs. Tayo. That's what I'm going to call you on this occasion. Thank you, everybody.
Wow. This is a mind-blowing session. This has lifted many spirits. I'm trying to do more. For women in politics, I give it up to you. 2 thumbs up. You're doing well. You're making us proud. So if you can do it, I can do it. And I am happy. Yes, I'm charged. And I really want to do it because this time around, we have to make our change. And we have to contribute to our quota. And like we have known, opportunity is everywhere. Not opportunity comes once. Wow. It is how we use it, how we tap into it, and we make judicious use of it. That means you're telling us you're